You will know by now, of course, about the Chinese warship that was shooting a military-grade laser towards RAF aircraft, and we also know what the complexities are. So let's talk to Jim Molan, of course, about this, the Senator from New South Wales and our go-to guy, about the reality of situations here. How do you interpret this now, a few days after it happened and some of the conversation? Is this something where China says we were too close, Australia says that it was openly provocative? As a person who understands these moments, what does it signal at the very least about what China was willing to do to make the aircraft move, if that's indeed what they believe happened?
Yes, thanks, Paul. And before I do that, if I could just apologise for the current situation. I'm in a hotel room in Newcastle. I'm actually standing on the bed. The iPad is suspended by the curtain rail, and I'm hanging on to the bathroom.
You look good. You're holding on. We're getting there.
I'll go to bits, but this is not funny. What we're talking about tonight. You're quite right. This should remind us that we are dealing with a nation which has the most extraordinary capability, military capability, as well as capability across its nation. A nation which, if it fought a war with the United States in the Western Pacific, the United States would lose. Now, once we've accepted that fact, we can start looking at these ships that come through our water, and we had some last year, and this is nothing illegal about what they're doing. But we've got to accept the fact that first they can do it. They're a big, smart Navy. And the fact of the matter is that they will lie about this until the cows come home. They will say, as they said today, no, the Australians came too close. Tomorrow, Paul, they will say, no, in fact, there were no lasers fired at all. On Friday, they will say, the Australians actually fired the lasers. And we've seen this with the shooting down of various civilian aircraft by authoritarian countries, Iran and Russia, because they change their story every day. We've seen Russia around the borders of the Ukraine say, we're withdrawing our troops now. They're not withdrawing their troops. They're reinforcing their troops. So the first point I'd make is that we've got to remember that we're dealing with a very, very powerful authoritarian nation that will lie. And the second point, Paul, is that these people are very, very capable. Lasers nowadays are very widely used for a range of purposes. We're on the verge of actually having directed energy weapons which can shoot down planes. Some people claim we're already there in various developmental models, but I certainly would expect that the Chinese will get there. This is the way of the future, and we in Australia have got to recognise what we're up against, and we've got to start preparing for it all.
So, when we see this scenario, and obviously Greg Sheridan, interesting conversation with Andrew Bolton in the past hour or so about what we've talked about for a while, which is, the physical preparedness of our ability to actually defend ourselves, right? But when we see little moments like this, people they become genuinely nervous. How do you think that people watching this show should interpret this? Because there's all the people that will get into the most complicated, airy-fairy sort of geopolitics here, or is this one of those little sort of moments where you bump up against each other, but then you pull apart from each other again?
Well, you can blame Scott Morrison for a lot of things, but organising the People's Liberation Army Navy to actually come down here and do this for political reasons is probably not something that even Scott Morrison could organise. But what we should be fully cognizant of it all the time is firstly the fact that the coalition government is the best government that I have seen. Now, I'm a member of it now, but I've only been for about 4 years. This is the best government for defence, and it's the best government for national security we've seen for 50 years. Now, let's not muck around about that. Put that to one side. Dutton and Morrison and Melissa Price have done a magnificent job in putting together, taking those 6 appalling years of the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd government, and what we have done in the meantime is everything they shouldn't have done. See Stephen Conroy this evening on Sky complaining about the fact that, we may not see submarines for a certain period of time when they did nothing about it. Paul, this is the time for Australians to remember when they see a Chinese frigate shooting anything at an Australian P-8 Poseidon aircraft. This is the time for Australians to say to themselves, in this general election, there is a choice to be made, and that choice is enormous. It's not a choice for small things. This is a big choice about the future of this country as a liberal democratic nation.
Yeah, bloody oath. Well, I tell you what, even in the circumstance of balancing and all the rest of it and holding a coat hanger in the air, authority you still ooze, my great friend. Thank you so much, Jim. All the best.
I'm going now.
All right, see you. Don't fall over. Quick, cut the camera. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.